Hey peeps, Tyler here. I just made my gender affirming care saves lives my story video, and I realized I didn't really go into my trans story. I explained a lot in how it saved my life and that gender affirming care saved my life with my mental health and everything in that video. I'll link it in the description. But I didn't really talk about, which I might have in other videos here and there, but I didn't really talk about my trans story, so I'm gonna do that here. And that's obviously we have when it comes to, not obviously, but I mean like people always want to know about childhood, and for me, I don't know exactly the youngest age I was when I first had this feeling or thought. Like the exact age, I don't know, but I do know it was pre-puberty. I was a young kid, pre-puberty, elementary school, probably. I would say things, not to other people, because at that point, I already knew it was a no-no. Religion and the people around me had already instilled in me, you're a girl, and that being LGBT is wrong. And that, but I had said, like, to myself, and at some point, maybe when I was a teenager, I think I said it to, like, some of my friends, but at this point, it was just, like, to myself, I feel like a boy. I did not know what to make of that at that age. But I had those thoughts and I said those words. And I remember specifically, one, wanting to cut my hair, but knowing that was not allowed for some fucking reason. Called You're a Girl. Felt like I was supposed to have long hair and my hair was the family fucking hair or some shit, is the way it felt to me as a kid. So that was a thing. And I would also often, when we would clothes shop, have to buy back to school clothes and whatnot, I remember often looking longingly at the boys section, but I could not gather up the courage to actually ask to go there. I have no fucking idea what they would have done. It probably would have depended on who the fuck was taking me shopping. But I never had the courage to ask. And the thing with hair is, one, I don't know if this has anything to do with it. It might. But if for some reason I'm like I'm bi, I'm very often like attracted to women with short hair or like men with long hair. You know, gender non-conforming is what it's often called. And of course, plus with the whole like long hair being feminine thing, and I was just like, my body was screaming girl, and everybody was telling me I had to be a girl, and all this feminine stuff. I just wanted to get away from it as much as possible. So like all that stuff probably combined into it. But I could not stand having long hair as a girl. And I mention that because I'm trying to literally grow my hair out right now. Because I've wanted a fucking mullet for years, but I could not picture myself with it as a woman. It was no. It was a no for me before. But now I feel like I can do whatever the fuck I want with my hair. Because I'm me. My voice is lower than it was. You can hear me in old videos. My pre-T voice, I did the whole pre-T thing. At some point I quit doing it, but you can still hear the progression with videos and whatnot. But, you know, like I have a lot more facial hair. I had some facial hair pre-T, but like nothing compared to now. And I know it's still growing in, but it's been like what, 14, almost 15 months now, so for that amount of time, I think this is pretty amazing. And like my face is different. Like obviously I'm still me, but like my jaw looks like sharper or whatever. and just looking more masculine in all those ways. And now it's like, now I can do whatever the fuck I want with my hair and my clothes, and it's just amazing. I feel at peace. And then, of course, puberty happened when I was 10. I specifically remember, as a kid, I would run around in my underwear, playing, as kids do. Then puberty happened. I got a chest. I was told to put on a shirt. I did not say this out loud, but I very specifically remember what I thought when I was told to put on a shirt. I don't think I had the word fucking, but I'm gonna say it because the feeling was there. But I was a goody-goody two-shoes 10-year-old, so I would not have actually thought this word. I thought the other words. I'm just gonna, add the fucking in there for the feeling. These fucking things don't even belong on me. I was just, screaming that in my head. I wanted to scream out loud. I didn't, but I wanted to. I just sulked and back to my room and put on a fucking shirt. And of course, at the time I told myself, you're a girl, maybe you'll get used to it, you're supposed to get used to it at some point, maybe you'll get used to it at some point. I would just keep telling myself that. That never happened. They got bigger, I was big-chested, and obviously not the biggest, but I got into the D, double D, I got up there. I was a D before I left high school. I think I was a C before I even got in high school. And I would remember, because I was that big, a lot of girls would look at me jealously, and I could not for the life of me understand why. Because I was jealous of them and they had smaller ones, thinking I would kill to have your smaller ones, and then I'd look at the guys with their flat chests and be like, I'd kill even more to have your flat chest. I had these thoughts. And I was just drilling into my head after these thoughts, you'll get fucking used to them at some point. And of course I had the guys calling me, and I remember at one point in high school in the fucking cafeteria, some dude asked for my phone number and I said 1-800-GET-A-LIFE. I would often fantasize about somehow cutting them off, trying to flatten them into a pancake. I did not know there was actually things I could do that with. But I would think about it all the time, and the only thing that stopped me from actually cutting them off myself was the fact that I'm not quite that insane to think that I could literally do that. But the feeling was there. Thankfully, so was a little bit of sanity. Because that was intense. As a kid, I knew at some point about trans women. I did not know trans men existed. I did not know non-binary people existed. It was just trans women, and of course I was told they were evil and mocked, and that's all I knew as a young kid. As a teenager at some point, I realized trans boys were a thing, but I just could not be okay with being even more than I already was. I entertained the thought very briefly at times, but then I would shove it back into the back of my mind. Because no, I'm already too much. I'm already physically disabled in ways that nobody's ever fucking heard of, because the internet was not really the internet existed, but social media was not a thing like it is now. So I didn't know other people with my medical issues, and doctors would often say, never heard of that, because it's 1 in 10 to 40,000 people have Actral. So I felt all alone in that, and then you'd take the physical disabilities plus the fact I was neurodivergent, and I did not know that yet. And then, so I felt like an alien, and I didn't even know why, on top of it. And the fact that I knew I was bi at 13, and of course I thought that was a sin, and all this blah 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 wrapped in. I felt way too much. It just felt so too much. I could not add on to anything else. So I would just keep pushing it down and pushing it down, thinking I'll figure out how to be a woman at some point. I don't know how. Which also brings me to another thing. That, song Shania Twain? I think. I apologize if I got that wrong. But that song, I Feel Like a Woman, I heard that so much growing up. It's a great song. It's nothing against the song. I heard that so much growing up, though. And every time, after that line, I feel like a woman, I would literally mumble, sing to myself, as long as nobody else could fucking hear me, whatever the fuck that means, every single time I heard that song. I apologize for how that might have sounded, if I got too close to the microphone there. Every single time I heard that line, I would say that. And at some point, when I was like 18, I cut my hair. Because I could. 18, 19. I could finally cut my hair. It was no longer the family hair. It was finally mine. So at times, like, online, I don't even know how in videos, because my voice was so high. Higher than I realized. But like online, when it was just my face or whatnot, or if they were like behind me, people would sometimes misgender me and say I think I was a dude. I would never correct them. But at some point they'd always end up realizing I was, female. And be like, oh, sorry. I would do my best to brush it off. But inside I wanted to scream every time they realized. And it felt like a punch to the gut. And I was aware of this feeling every time. How I could keep trying to deny it for as long as I did, I'm not really sure. Other than I felt way too much and I could not be anymore, and then you add on my medical issues on top of it, like, could I even do it? I have no fucking idea. And so all of that just combined. And plus, if I added this, then the other video would have been way too long. So I just kept trying to push it back and push it back. And I'm also a non-binary trans man, so the lack of knowledge about non-binary people, I think, was also messing with me. It's just like there's also something else missing here. But I knew I wished I looked more masculine. I wished my voice was lower. I wished I didn't have a chest. I would often fantasize about having a complete male body. I don't need to go into it all. And in my head, when I would like daydream about myself, even though I have aphantasia, so it's very fucking weird, I'm aware, but my brain is weird, and I'm just doing the best I can to explain it. It is hard to explain what goes on in one's mind, especially when we are now realizing just how neurodiverse everybody is in general. It can be hard to describe what goes on in your brain. But in my, like, when I would daydream and just, like, think about things and as myself, I could never picture myself as a girl or a woman. I couldn't do it. I don't know how else to put it, but it's weird and it's a thing. I just couldn't think of myself as a girl. In any way, shape, or form. And these feelings never went away, no matter how much I tried to make them. I got with my husband, who passed away in 2021. In February of 2021, he passed away. But I got with him when I was 21 in 2010. And somewhere in my mid-late 20s, I heard about non-binary people. And again, that push it back, you're too much, you're too much, you're too much, you can't look into this. You can't look into this. I think I literally avoided looking at it for a few years. But then at, like, At 30 years old, I couldn't take it anymore. I looked into it and I realized, well, that's what's missing. That, and it was slightly less scary than just going full on transitioning. It was like, well, that's the missing piece. I think a part of me knew that wasn't quite all there was to it. But it was, like I said, also less scary that it's going full. So, at some point I came out as non-binary. I went through a few different things. At first I was like, any pronouns work, but then, of course, I quickly realized that did not work, because every time I got called she, I felt like I was being stabbed. So at some point I think I was at a they, them only, but now I'm at he, they, he, him, they, them. So. And I am a man. I would also, like, the best I can explain it, I don't really give a shit about microlabels at this point, but the best way I can explain it is, I guess, bi-gender might work, non-binary, and man, you don't have to understand. I barely understand it. It is a journey. It's fine, but I just know this is who I am. So, either gender neutral or masculine terms work. I am a man. I am also just a person. But, you know, at some point I changed my name socially to Tyler, because I'd known since I was a kid I wished my name was Tyler. As a kid I didn't think I could do that. Well, past kid me, with all your gender confusion and desire to have the name Tyler. One day you will figure it out. You will be so happy. And your name will be Tyler. I wish I could tell past me that. And now it's legal. But that didn't fix everything. It was a little better, but turns out it didn't actually fix everything. It wasn't quite enough. And I'm like, you need to see about this testosterone thing, but I have all these medical issues, and everything's going fucking wrong, and everything's fucking hard, and I'm seriously depressed, and all that combined where it just took... I was trying to wait for the perfect time, and the perfect time would never come with all my stupid medical issues and everything else. And in that time, my husband passed away. He did not pass away of COVID. It was infection, left way too long, lack of health care. The United States sucks. What else is new? And I had also lost my grandmother and my grandfather in January. My grandmother, who I was very, very close to, died January 17th, 2021, of COVID. Was not expecting that. And then her husband, technically my step-grandfather, but he's been my grandfather since I was a kid, died 2 days later, January 19th, and we had actually expected him to die of kidney cancer. I don't even think he had to have a kidney when he died, for years, and he died 2 days after she did. So I seriously believe he was holding on that long just for her, and then she died. And then February 16th, 2021, all within a month, my husband died. And I also moved. We moved in January of 2021 because we had been renting, and there's a whole kerfluffle with that, and we had to move, and I don't even want to get into that at this point. But we had to find a new place quickly, and thankfully, now I have my own house. But that was very, very hectic in January, when my grandmother and grandfather died. And that was also the time I was learning I'm autistic. I don't know how I made it through 2021. At all. That was the darkest point of my life. I don't like to think about 2021. And I have heard from so many people who feel the same way for various reasons and a lot of death. 2021 seems like it was hard on pretty much everybody. And that's the reason why it was hard on me. But then, things get worse and worse, and then I end up in therapy, knowing I need to go on testosterone, knowing I need HRT. but being way too scared because of my medical issues and because of the way society is going, and that's getting worse, and just so many fears. But I end up in therapy because I'm like, well, I need 6 months of therapy anyway if I'm ever going to get HRT. So let's go to therapy. And thankfully I managed to find telehealth, so I was able to do that from my own home, which really helped. And the therapists were all kind. I ended up with 3 because 2 of them ended up moving or doing, like, moving away from the company, doing other things. It was weird. But they were all, it was just weird that it happened twice. But they were all nice, and that was all good. But in January of 2023, I reached my lowest point, and I realized I was going to unalive myself if I didn't transition. It had gotten so bad I could not take it anymore. I could not take the dysphoria of my body being all wrong. At that point, I knew that I could not take it anymore. And I had 2 choices. It was either transition, as scary as it is, I had to fucking try, or unalive myself. I chose to try, and I chose to live. February 2nd, 2023, I got on testosterone, thanks to Plume, which helped me out. Now I see a doctor in real life. But Plume initially helped me, and thanks to Plume I was able to have the courage to eventually find a doctor in real life. Which is a bit of a hassle because we have, like, nothing here. But eventually I was able to find one, and I would not have had the courage if it wasn't for Plume, because immediately, before any physical stuff happened, immediately I was happier. And that never went away. Over a year later, I'm still so much happier. I feel like me in this body. I had top surgery 2 months ago, February 8th. I'm still recovering. I've been doing update videos. I'm a very slow healer due to being born with Vactral Association. So we already know I'm a slow healer, but it looks like I am going in the right direction, so I will get there. And I'm so happy. Did I already mention the top surgery in this video? Because I don't know. If I didn't, I know I mentioned it in the other one, or vice versa. I'm not sure. But with the top surgery, I still, like, sometimes forget that I don't have to hunch over. And I just get so happy when I realize that they're gone. That I don't need my binder. Like, to bind what? They're gone. I get so happy. I think I might have already mentioned that in this video. Making them back to back has confused me. And then the whole... No, it may have been another video, but I'm sure at some point I'll just be content that they're gone. And now that I've seen, like, my voice has gotten lower, my face has changed, masculinized, I've gotten hairier. I have facial hair, I have more body hair. My hair's gotten a bit wavy. Not sure how much you can tell. But that's new. I knew that, pretty much knew that was going to happen. My dad, he would tell you, he was born bald. But the hair he got as a kid was apparently, I mean, there's pictures, it was blonde and straight. Apparently puberty then made that black and curly. I shit you not. I would not believe he used to be a blonde if there wasn't pictures. Don't know how that extreme change happened other than puberty. My mom, who is pretty recently getting curly hair, is in her 50s, and something about age, and possibly testosterone or something, I don't know. I just had this feeling that testosterone would make my hair wavy, curly, and it seems to be doing just that. And this makes me so unbelievably happy, it's ridiculous. All of it. Like, I feel like me. And I don't know how to say it any better than that. I finally feel like me. I feel like I'm me in my own body now. I mean, yeah, I still have a bunch of medical issues that are a pain in my ass. But at least I'm the disabled man I'm supposed to be, not the disabled woman I was pretending to be. And that makes so much difference. These two videos combined, the Gender Affirming Care Saved My Life video, which I'll link in the description, and this video, I think say everything. A couple things possibly more than once, but these two videos say everything for me. If you have any questions, you can ask them. I don't know what people are going to ask, so I'm not going to promise I'm going to answer everything. But, and of course that's, respectful and whatnot. But, yeah, that's my story. I think these two videos sum it up pretty well. And like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell if you want to. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.